welcome to your reading. Let's see what comes through. Let's see why you've been drawn to this channel. I'll find a way here. I'm gonna do a 3-card spread to begin with. Alright, it's a 4-card spread, close enough. Stability is gonna be the topic. I'm getting like an energy of being stuck on a choice that you made a long time ago. It in other words, like being filled with regrets and or just like low-key beating yourself up over choices that you made or choices that you didn't make, like opportunities you didn't take when they were around. I'm hearing investing where you shouldn't have invested, and thinking about not having invested where you should have invested. So it's like a double-edged sword, but it's, I guess, like both sides. It just feels like processing, feels like deep processing, but it is also tied to sort of heaviness. I'm feeling a heavy, like as a heavy energy in chest, and it's making me feel like constricted. And apparently that's also what's happening, like that it is somewhat clogging your heart space from actually releasing that, letting go, and opening yourself up, or like reclaiming that position of like, okay, yeah, I made certain choices, or I'm hearing wasted a lot of time. Apparently someone here just feels like they wasted so much time, and instead of that being a liability, fine-tuning it or turning it into an energy that actually motivates you. So this is where we're at. This is the main energy that's coming through. I mean, when I said it's about stability, or the topic at hand is one of stability, it's what I've been touching up. This has been coming through quite a bit in the recent Patreon readings. If you're not on there yet, you might, think about joining, because you will get a lot more frequent guidance over there. But this as well can be a great way, just to come on here and we just touch base. But what I'm seeing is that, it's this sense of like forgetting about your humanness, and that you will, like everyone else, you will, for some reason, a lot of this is tied, or I'm getting a strong like tie to romantic relationships. Like that's as well where my, like, it feels even tighter. As soon as I mentioned that, it got tighter, more restricted, because I know like I'm talking to a multitude of people, but that sense of like I wasted so much time is coming through really strongly, tied to romantic relationship or romantic relationships. So that of course can be heartbreaking or feel heartbreaking, especially if someone is like, oh, I wasted my best years on this person, and looking back, I could have made a total different choice. Could have been that you were at a crossroads, or that you had two to choose from and you choose another person instead of this one. And just thinking back, there's a lot of like, feels very nostalgic, and very well like how would my life have turned out if I had chosen the other, or if I had chosen differently. And of course you can dwell on that. This can also be, like I was telling you already, I'm picking this up as a process. So it's like, feels like you need to go through that, or like relive that to some degree, because it's a way of you moving through what you're processing. This is what is part of healing, or part of healing is literally you sitting with the emotions that are coming up, and not tucking them away, numbing them away, and popping pills and smoking it away, drinking it away, but actually just sitting with what's coming up. It gets overcomplicated. It's actually pretty simple. So the fact that you are willing to sit with this, or that you are maybe dwelling on it, is not a bad thing in itself. It's more like, okay, where do you move from here? And I already gave you the answer. It's about how can you change your perception, how can you use that as fuel and as motivation for where you're at right now. And of course there's also indoctrination, picking up on indoctrination and like conditioning around age and what, you know, at a certain age you shouldn't or can't be doing this anymore. That is all like, it's bullshit. You know, like the system is set up, we've touched on this on Patreon as well, the way the system is set up in a multitude of ways to just make you feel shit about yourself, about who you are. Even if it's subtle and you don't even see it, it is kind of built up that way. So yeah, the whole thing with age, or just as a general, there's a layer of conditioning, a layer of social conditioning about what you can't and cannot do. It doesn't only have to be age. It can be, a single mother or a single father can't or shouldn't be da-da-da-da, you know, like there's different ways this will seep through. And it's about choosing differently for yourself, and that can also, it's just noise. And as well, if you're on Patreon, you have access to my group quantum clearings, and with the groups I've been working with, we've reached these 0 hash points where you literally are put in a state where you have 0 interference. And for a lot of people, that in itself can just reset your whole system, because you have actual proof of what it feels like to be free from interference and noise that is not your own. And that's where you start building, you know, upon or from your own signal. And that as well is what I help and guide you with over on Patreon. It's not just readings. You know, I'm not just a tarot reader, I'm so much more. So yeah, there's certain things that I can help you and guide you with that you will not find anywhere else. And that's what with like conditioning, you know, there's even readers that are conditioned and don't even know they're conditioned. Like I had my own conditioning, I have my own conditioning I need to work through. There's always layers of everything. But this is as well why it's so important that you do, be like, I'm just, overall there's a sense of also not fully being aware of what you're consuming and not fully being aware of who and what you're being influenced by, because everything is going so fast nowadays, especially those that are on TikTok or like on these, you know, scrolling machines where you're just consuming so much and you're not consciously aware of what you're consuming and how it's shaping your life and how it's influencing how you are shaping your life, how you are creating the life that you're living. You know, that's the whole joke, basically, is that most are feeding into a system or into a program that, you know, they're not even consciously aware that's what they're doing. And you think you're choosing for yourself, but actually it's you're being steered like a little puppet, you know. And we've got a bunch of movies on that. It's nothing new. It's nothing new for who has already broken through certain illusions and seen glimpses of the truth. But also not everyone is ready for it. And also, you know, when I do, you know, it's not that I want to compare myself to other readers, but I kind of can be upsetting sometimes when I see how so many people flock to like, channels or psychics that don't have your best intention at heart. Like they're not working from a place of where they're genuine, like being genuine about your well-being, being genuine about holding you accountable and helping you along on your path. And that as well, I'm talking about this because more often than not, I have to clear away when I have clients that work with me. I have to clear away also a lot of what you've been told from psychics and channels that have influenced you in ways where also you've made decisions that maybe you hadn't made if you hadn't put your trust into someone who's really not equipped on helping you out that way. So I guess this is coming through just to be aware of what and who you are consuming, and check in with yourself if it really is your truth, or if you're being influenced in a way that actually takes you away from your truth. Let's see what else. Yeah, I touched on this already. Yeah, it's this false light programming, and I want to say those of you that have highly developed sensitivities and senses, you, like, the more the veil thins, the more you're going to see through glamour, like glamour magic and glamour magic spells, and who is feeding off of false light or like running on false light. That's another big part of the age of Aquarius, like of all of that is falling in together. And as well, a lot of channels and psychics don't actually have the gift. They just recycle other people's content. They're not really channeling. It's not coming from them. It's not in the bloodline. It's just maybe they saw someone doing it and was like, hey, I want to do this as well. But it's not like bloodline forged. There's no backup. There's no spiritual backup. It's just recycled. And if they're, charming or they have a good way of performing, it becomes a performance that some just don't see through and feed into it. But not only you're feeding into it, you're consuming, and it's shaping the way you're making decisions in your life. So you're giving someone way too much power. And I just heard, well, how are you different? Well, I'm different is that I constantly make sure and I constantly communicate that I don't want anyone dependent on me. And in Patreon, there's a sanctum where you can lean on each other, you can communicate, but even there, like, ultimately is to get all of you away from being codependent. Have you call back power that you've given away to external forces, and that you start living from your truth. You start tuning into your own energy, you start recognizing your own energy, you start recognizing your own truth, that ultimately you may not even need readings anymore altogether. That is my philosophy. That's why I feel like I'm different from other readers and other channels, because I don't want anyone dependent on me. That's not gonna make me feel fulfilled. Like, I'm a vessel. I have a really strong spiritual team behind me that works through me. I do what I can. There's days where I love doing what I'm doing. There's days where I do not enjoy it. It's just a part of what I have to move through myself. But ultimately, I know what and how I've helped clients in ways that it would have taken them 10 years, 15 years to do the same in a time span of a year. So Yeah, that's why my Patreon is my baby. Like I said, it's not only readings, it's that I can have more like closer connection with whoever is ready to not only invest but also just is ready for changes. So yeah, with that said, I do hope more of you find your way over there. Not that there's not enough over there, there's plenty, but it's always beautiful to see the sanctum expand, and people have been getting more comfortable with each other, and the community chat is thriving, and it's really becoming a beautiful space. And like I said, you have access to clearing, you have access to sessions where you don't have access to anywhere else. So yeah, it's worth the investment. It's still a steal. And there's just some things that I can't help you with a reading alone, or you advertise it's becoming out of, yeah, because I can't help you with certain things. I can't help you with a reading alone. I can read the same ish over and over again. Some things you need a more like, especially if I have the tools for it, why not help you that way? And this is as well why I'm telling you I'm not I don't want anyone dependent. If I wanted you dependent on me, I would not offer you the tools that I do have to help you make real shifts and changes in your life, and I would just get you to book in for reading all constantly. But like I said, I have different intentions. Like I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know what I'm capable of, so I will offer you what I can, for a price. But the price in itself is also coded that it's, it protects my energy as a facilitator, but also it protects my clients' results. And it doesn't dilute the work that is there, that is occurring. So yeah, like I said, there's certain things here as well with the indoctrination and the conditioning that just it needs to be cleared. And then you start hearing yourself better, you start being able to tune into yourself better, you start making choices without the noise, without expectations, without you supposed to be this or you too much of this or that, just like really you tuned in to your own signal, making choices that feel good for you on a soul heart level. That is what's ultimately gonna, it's how you're gonna create your version of heaven on earth. But it is a process, and that's why, again, I'm just gonna keep drilling this into your head. That's why Patreon is set up. You have closer guidance. You literally give me more permission to tune into your energy. You have friends or like people like you that are moving through the same energies that you can exchange with. You have access to group clearing sessions. It's beautiful, it's great, and it's so worth it from what I've seen so far. So yeah, maybe see you over there, and I will do more readings on here for sure.